Welcome to Howtopedia. In this video, we'll help you learn how to master the skill of adding 2 and 3-digit numbers mentally without using a calculator. Tip number 1. Add and adjust. This technique involves adding extra numbers to a given set of numbers before performing the main calculation and then subtracting these added numbers from the result to arrive at the correct answer. Confused? Don't worry, we'll apply this technique to understand the process in a better way. Now, for instance, you have to calculate the sum of 45 and 9. You'll surely agree with me that adding 45 and 10 is more simpler and easier to handle than adding 45 and 9. So as a first step in solving this problem, we'll add 45 and 10 for the time being. 45 added with 10 is 55. Now since our problem was to add 45 and 9, we'll subtract that extra 1 from our result to get the correct answer. 55 minus 1 equals 54, and hence we have got our sum of 45 and 9, that is 54. Now keep this in mind that this method is really useful in those cases when you're dealing with adding such numbers that are close to the tens or hundreds boundary. Observe that in all the shown examples on the screen, the number that you're adding or the addend is closer to 10 or 100. It might appear difficult to you right now, but you see the key to master any skill is practice, practice, and just practice. Now let's move on to another very effective tip that we'll name it as 10 focus splitting. As the name itself indicates, in this technique, we create number pairs such that we make tens-friendly numbers out of our problem, since those numbers are more easier to work with. Let me tell you in more simple language. When you get an addition problem to solve, you just have to break or split your addend in such a way that you get a total that results in a multiple of 10. Let's study an example to gain a better understanding. Okay, so our question is to add 15 and 7. To begin solving it, we'll break this problem into 2 steps. Initially, we'll split 7 into 5 and 2. The reason of splitting 7 into components of 5 and 2 is to make our problem a little straightforward. Adding 15 and 5 results in 20. Now add that remaining 2 in the result, which is not at all a big deal, isn't it? 20 plus 2 is 22, and that's our final result. Easy? But kids, unless you master the skill of making number bonds, you will not be able to apply this method efficiently. So on the screen, you can see the basic number bonds from 1 till 10 are displayed, which you have to rehearse very well. We'll practice one more example of the same method so you can gain more clarity. So in this example, our task is to add 34 and 8. Recall the steps that you have learned. Our first step is to decide how to split 8 with this goal in mind that we have to simplify our problem. Now we know that 34 combined with 6 will give us 40, which is a multiple of 10, and adding any number afterwards will definitely be quite simple. So let's break 8 into 6 and 2. Add 34 and 6, and later adding 2 gives us the final result of 42. I hope there is no misconception so far. Let's move on to learning our last and very easy technique of mental addition, in which you will use up your concept of place values. We have named this technique as place value breakdown. In this method of mental addition, we'll use the concept of expanded form of numbers, which involves breaking down each number into its place value components, tens, ones, hundreds, etc., and then adding the corresponding place values together. Let's explore this method with an example. Add 45 and 32. We'll start solving this question expanding both 45 and 32. After that, you will add corresponding place values, that is tens with tens, ones with ones. Lastly, add or combine your result to get the final answer. Keep this in mind that the steps that you see in written right now, you have to practice doing all these steps mentally. It's definitely not hard, only if you consistently practice. Let's study on one more example of the same kind. Add 65 and 48. Recall first step, which is to expand. Then add according to the place values and lastly combine the results as you can see in this solved example on the screen. This technique will also help you with larger multi-digit numbers because when you break down your addition problem into smaller, more manageable components, you can solve any complex problem with ease. Remember, with consistent practice, these techniques will become so ingrained and you will be able to perform mental addition quickly, swiftly, and effortlessly. Happy learning! If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends and subscribe to How to PDF for more such content.